Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. Can you be the face of anything, especially women's boxing, if all you want to do is hurt the women and disrespect the women and break the women down?
The goal is always to drop these girls and knock them out and hurt them.
Is it knockout or bust for you? Or are you going to be happy with a dominant performance if you don't get the stoppage?
Man, listen, a win is a win. A great performance with great combinations and great skill set shown is a win for me. Everybody talking like, oh, this is supposed to be a knockout. 18,000 fans was happy in Detroit with my 10-round fight with Franchon Cruz, where I tore her ass up. If this has to be the same way for this fight, I'm not ever gonna be like, oh, because I didn't get a knockout, I need to feel like, come on, man, I'm about to be 19-0 with 21 world titles. Please stop it. But the goal is always to drop these girls and knock them out and hurt them. That's the same goal here.
Uh-oh. So Claressa, who wants to be the face of women's boxing, is saying the goal is to drop the women and hurt them. And that's the same goal here with Kay Scott. She wants to drop her. She wants to hurt her. She wants to hurt all the females, whether it's at a weigh-in, whether it's outside the ring, whether it's at an MVP event. Claressa wants to hurt everybody, be violent, destructive, but then she doesn't support the women or women's boxing, but she wants to be the face of it. It's not going to happen, man. It's a big contradiction, you know what I'm saying? You can't be the face of women's boxing while tearing down the women around you. You know, you just can't do it. There's a fundamental difference between being the most accomplished fighter and being the representative face of an entire sport. She is not that. The face of the entire sport is still Layla Ali, you know, and it's going to be that way for a long time. There's other ones out here who they have some momentum going, but it's Layla Ali. And these same ones, I 100% believe that these same ones still look up to Layla Ali because they know Layla Ali's the real deal. You see, a boxer can have Olympic medals. Claressa has that. There are quite a few female boxers with Olympic medals. Can have championships, undefeated records, and extraordinary talent, and still struggle to become the person fans, sponsors, and fellow athletes want representing the sport. And I'm being honest with you, when I look out there, I got to be real. I don't see anybody. You know, it's Layla Ali. There's others who can represent the sport, but not as the face of anything. You know, they're working on it, but nobody's there yet. And when it comes to Claressa Shields, that's the tension surrounding her. The strongest version of the criticism isn't simply Claressa talks trash, right? Because we know boxing is built on trash talk. The bigger issue with the GOAT is if you want to be the face of women's boxing, the responsibility that comes with the position, she doesn't want the responsibility. You understand? See, you can try to delegate authority, but not responsibility. If you want to be the face of women's boxing, then you got to be responsible and hold yourself accountable, and you got to support the other women, which she does not do. You know, being the face means more than representing yourself. Nobody want to hear all day, man, please, I'm the GOAT. I got this, I got that. I did this, I did that. I can do this, I can do that. Nobody want to hear that. If Shields wants to be viewed as the face of women's boxing, she is essentially asking fans to associate her personality and behavior with the sport itself, and that's not going to happen. No one is going to associate her personality and her behavior with the sport. They're trying to disassociate it. Matter of fact, if they could, they can get rid of her if they could. So the conversation has become way bigger than, is Claressa a great fighter? The real question has become, is Claressa the person women's boxing wants representing it? And I would say the answer is no, hell no. You see, those are different questions. Is she a great fighter? Easy, yes. Is she the person women's boxing wants representing it? No. She can be a great female fighter, all right? But the thing is this. She can be a great female fighter while people simultaneously believe another fighter would be a better ambassador. And that's why Alycia Baumgartner's name gets brought up so much as far as active fighters and who they feel will be a much better ambassador, who they want to be the ambassador, and they feel who's going a certain direction when it comes to being an ambassador for female boxing. It's not big vote. You see? And that's where the contradiction becomes interesting. This shit about I want to hurt women, but I represent women. There's nothing, inherently wrong with the fighter saying I'm going to hurt my opponent. That's boxing. The whole objective is to get in there and try to kill somebody. You know what I mean? And make them quit, referee stop it, corner stop it, whatever. Render them unconscious. You're trying to kill them. All right? You got to defeat the person standing across from you. But see, the problem emerges when competitive aggression becomes personal degradation of other athletes outside the actual competition. That's what Claressa has done. B's, hoes, N-words, MFers, this, that. You know what I'm saying? If the message becomes, I want to hurt you, holes, you B's, you this, you broke, you this, all this crap, then I mean, it's kind of, if it's just I want to hurt you, that's fine. But with all the extra shit, now it starts to become more really nasty. And the face of boxing, of women's boxing, that's not how you represent it. And that's why Claressa Shields is not the face of women's boxing. Because everything about her is, to all the female athletes, you're beneath me. Your career doesn't matter. Your accomplishments don't matter. Nothing matches mine. I'm gonna repeatedly attack your reputation every chance I get. You see, now you're creating a completely different relationship with the audience, and they don't like it. And that's where the fans begin asking, why the hell should we celebrate Claressa Shields as a representative of women when all she does is spend time trying to tear everybody down? That's because, in my opinion, she's insecure. She's very insecure. Even when she looks at her boxing career, she's not proud of her boxing career the way she wants to be, because she doesn't knock people out. And when she looks at herself in the mirror, I don't think she likes herself. She looks at all the other women and what they have, and she looks at herself and what she doesn't have. But that's something that she got to resolve on her own. But all I'm saying is, when you think about that, how about this? Let's just think about Franchon. The Franchon Cruz-Dezurn situation illustrates the difference here, right? Now, Shields has spoken proudly about how badly she believes she beat Franchon. Now, we all know Franchon was injured going into that fight, but Claressa just wants to come out here and talk about how she beat the hell out of Franchon or whipped Franchon's ass, right? This is what she said, and she did beat Franchon pretty convincingly. Now, that's normal competitive pride to a degree. A champion should absolutely celebrate a dominant performance, but there's a difference here. I proved I was better than Franchon that night. We can accept that. And I'm going to use Franchon's defeat as another opportunity to humiliate her. That's not okay. And that's what she's done, and she's still doing it. She has not stopped. You know what I'm saying? If you say, I proved I was a better fighter on that night, that builds your legacy. But then you start saying, trying to use a fighter's defeat as an opportunity to humiliate him, well, that creates resentment. And that affects your relationship with fans and observers, and it affects your legacy. And that's an important distinction for anyone trying to become the face of the sport. But she doesn't seem to give a damn. Now, when it comes to Serrano, Katie Taylor, Baumgartner, Shadesha Green, and Layla Ali, Claressa's had public disputes, rivalries, and verbal exchanges involving several prominent names in women's boxing, and it doesn't seem like it's going to slow down anytime soon, because now she's out here taking digs at Tamm. You see, critics see a pattern, and we don't like it. Instead of women's boxing is growing and all of us benefit, that's not Claressa Shields. She'll never be that way. She doesn't know how to be that way. Her public conversation has become, it's Claressa versus everybody, me against them. I'm better than them. They're beneath me. Everyone dislikes me. Nobody likes me. They're jealous of me. They want to be like me because I'm fine and because I got a natural big fat ass and I got pretty skin and I'm soft and I'm this and I got small hands and small feet. Oh boy, man, please. Nobody care about your fucking small feet. Nobody care about them small hands and whatever else you claim that you have that other women want. There's a hidden cost with this me versus everybody nonsense. Every time another female fighter becomes a target of controversy, you create another group of fans who become emotionally invested in seeing that fighter succeed against you. That's why everybody is celebrating hearing that she's in a 360 deal, and any bit of money that she makes, her team, from the promoter to Win Records, Peppers, everybody gets a piece of her money. People are actually celebrating knowing that it looks like she's in a deal where she got screwed. And it is what it is, man. Now, when it comes to being the villain and controversy sells, being controversial can make you famous. Claressa is more famous than she's ever imagined. You know what I'm saying? But I've said it in multiple videos. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to foot stomp this. Fame and popularity aren't identical. A villain can sell fights. A villain can generate enormous engagement. A villain can make people tune in specifically because they want to see the villain lose. But eventually you have to ask, are people paying to see me win or paying to see me lose? And you have to ask, are people even paying to see me win? Outside of people who attend physically, when those people watch you from home, is there anyone buying subscriptions into these networks I'm going to be fighting on? Is anyone buying the pay-per-view? Because I'm going to tell you, 98% of people, they're not paying anything to watch Claressa Shields fight. They refuse to put money in her pocket. And there are people who used to go to her fights who don't want to go no more. Doesn't mean she hasn't attracted a new audience, but what it does mean is that her way of doing business isn't working. And remember, we're talking about two very different business models as far as people who want to see you win or want to see you lose, and as far as who will pay. You see? If Claressa, if she deliberately wants the villain role, that can be strategically useful, but there's a danger. The villain has to be likable, and the villain has to be a hero. And if another fighter maintains a professional image while beating you, the audience can eventually transfer its emotional investment to that person. And, moreover, if a fighter who's not even fighting you, but is someone who's rivaling you from another weight division as far as what they're accomplishing, all they have to do is maintain a professional image. That's it. Because being an unlikable villain, that destroys a fighter's brand, and it creates such a huge separation between their image and their likability and the other individual who may not be as talented as a fighter, but who's a great fighter as well, but is a professional. And people will transfer their emotional investment to the person who's being more professional, because nobody likes negative people. At some point in time, they're like, man, get your ass away from me. See, that's what you got to understand. This shit about face of women's boxing has to be the most talented. That's bullcrap. How about this? Okay, imagine you got two fighters. Fighter A has more accomplishments, more championships, experience, technically gifted, but there's constant controversy, constant public feuds, constant attacks on rivals, right? But in person, a fighter B, they're not as accomplished, they're very professional, respectful, they give credit to opponents, but they promote women's boxing, they build relationships, they handle interviews well, they represent sponsors positively. So who do sponsors want? Who do networks want? Who do casual fans feel comfortable introducing their families to? Who do young girls look at and say, I want to be like her? You see, this is where Fighter B can potentially become the bigger brand, because despite being the lesser fighter, they're more likable and they're more predictable. Whereas Person A is very unpredictable and a high risk. You see, sponsors aren't just buying punches. You know what I mean? This is where the whole thing with being a pro boxer and being a villain, that shit collides with business. You know what I'm saying? It's a huge collision there. A sponsor isn't simply asking, can this female fighter beat everybody? They're also asking, can we put her on a billboard? Can she represent our company? Will she create unnecessary controversy? Will her comments become tomorrow's headlines? Will customers associate our brand with her behavior? Can she appear at corporate events? Can children participate in her programs? Does she make people want to support her? That's why marketability isn't always proportional to athletic achievement. And when you answer all those questions about Claressa, it's all going to be no, 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 no. You know what I mean? She is not a leader. I know a lot about leadership. Leadership requires building people up, man. There's a saying I used to say back in the day, we build champions, we don't break them down. That's a leader. Claressa, she's all about, I break people down, I don't build them up. That is not a leader. If someone genuinely wants to lead an entire movement, leadership usually requires more than saying, I'm the greatest. It requires creating an environment where other people can succeed. A leader can say, yo, I'm the standard and I'm bringing everybody with me. That's what you want to hear. Now, someone who's competing, I'm the standard and everybody else needs to get out of my way. That's Claressa. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying both approaches can't produce champions, but only one naturally produces a movement. And that's the one we're saying, I'm the standard and I'm bringing everyone with me. Claressa doesn't know how to do that. She likes to create separation and distance. And her team is pushing that. So I think the biggest danger for Shields, it's not really losing the fight, is that she's become so controversial that the conversation surrounding her overwhelms the conversation surrounding her accomplishments and her talent. I say this all the time. 10, 15, 20 years from now, somebody searches Claressa Shields. What are they going to find? You know, even right now, imagine somebody searches Claressa Shields. You know, what do you want them to find? That's my question. You want them to find gold medals, championships, historic achievements, great performances of women's boxing advocacy. That's what you want to come up on you. That's what comes up for Layla Ali. But if you Google Claressa Shields, you see arguments, feuds, relationship drama, social media battles, diss tracks, celebrity controversy, conflicts with other fighters. You know what I mean? The athlete just does not disappear, but the legacy narrative becomes diluted. And that's what's happened to Claressa Shields 100%. That's why we talk about Alycia Baumgartner becomes very interesting. You know, a fighter doesn't necessarily have to defeat Shields in the ring to compete with her for attention. Sometimes all you have to do is just behave differently. So if Baumgartner, Taylor, Serrano, Mayer, Dubois, and other fighters consistently present themselves as professional, competitive, respectful, and marketable, then they can collectively create a different image of what women's boxing looks like. And suddenly the question changes from who's the greatest to who represents this generation best. And those aren't necessarily the same person. You know what I'm saying? But if it's sure, it's not Claressa Shields. So you can destroy opponents without destroying the sport. Claressa is destroying the sport. And this is a key distinction. You see what I'm saying? Inside the ring, go ahead, destroy your opponent. But outside the ring, respect the profession. And she's not doing that. So you can say I'm going to knock her out without saying she doesn't belong here. And that's what she likes to do. Broke bombs, they're sorry, they this, they that. You can say I'm better than her without saying she's done nothing. Her career means nothing. Next, don't talk about me if you have losses, this and that. All that bullshit that Claressa does. And then celebrating your victory without requiring the other woman to be humiliated. That's not Claressa. She wants to humiliate everybody. Why she does that, I don't know. But obviously there's something wrong with her. But that's what separates competitive aggression from destructive personal rivalry, which seems to be what Claressa is the most familiar with and most comfortable with. Destructive personal rivalry. That's why she doesn't have any friends when it comes to boxing. So the ultimate irony, if Shields truly wants to become the face of women's boxing, the women she criticizes are actually some of the people she needs the most. You know? And I'm going to tell you why. You know why? Because women's boxing isn't one person. It's an entire ecosystem. And Layla Ali knew it. She tried to impart that wisdom to Big Boat. Big Boat hit her with the man, please. She didn't want to listen. Amanda Serrano needs Claressa. Claressa needs Amanda. Katie Taylor needs Alycia. Alycia needs Katie Taylor. Dubois needs Michaela Mayer. Michaela needs Caroline. So every major fighter gives the others somebody to compete against, compare themselves against, and build their careers around. You don't build an entire sport by eliminating everybody else. You build it by making everybody matter. Claressa doesn't realize that. All these women need each other. They all need to come together, kumbaya. They can have rivalry. They can have competitive energy. But you can't be out here breaking everybody down and think people are going to, kind of just place you or put that face of anything crown on top of your head. So when it comes to big vote, yeah, she's trying to take over Atlanta this weekend, but she'll never take over women's boxing to be the face. She is not. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.